Hello, Just Lean In community. It is kind of late, but I wanted to make sure I got on here and discussed what to do after a binge because I know we posted about it earlier. And I think this is something that a lot of you guys will find valuable, especially going into the holidays where it can be really easy for binge episodes to happen if you're susceptible to them, and even if you're not, honestly. And you could be borderline binging on some holiday parties, but right now I'm going to talk more about actual binging. So before I do that, though, let's talk a little bit about what is happening in your body when you eat food, okay? Actually, let's not go too deep into that. But what is happening is your body is going to produce a hormone called dopamine. Dopamine makes you feel really good. It's a hormone that kind of causes happiness. And so if you are having a really hard day, if you are dealing with a lot of emotional stress, trauma, you name it, there's a lot of triggers that can cause you to, in fact, have a binge episode. I've actually dealt with this in the past as well. And just so you know, foods that are high in fat and sugar cause your body to release more dopamine. So that means most of the time, honestly, when you are, say you come home from a long day and it was just a really stressful day, it was hard, and there's a thing of chocolate sitting in the, a bag of chocolates sitting in the cupboard left over from Halloween, and you're like, I'm just going to have one. Before you know it, you're sitting on a couch in front of the TV and all the candy is gone, and now you are craving something salty and you go and grab a bag of chips and then it's gone, right? This can happen so easily, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced that, what I'm just describing. And so because it's so common, I wanted to make sure that I talk to you guys about this. But also just wanted to call something out. Maybe, I don't know if you're listening to this, you probably care and want to know what to do. But in case you want to know why this is important, and I would say if this is something you suffer from frequently, you probably should talk to somebody. Myself, and on behalf of my coaches, we are not experts in eating disorders, and I would definitely recommend that you talk to somebody who is, to really try to help you. But I do want you to know what types of things can happen to your body when we binge, and especially if you do it a lot of over time. So fast and uncontrolled eating can actually impact your metabolism. It's an unnatural modality, and our bodies are really adaptive. Okay, I shouldn't call it a modality, but it's kind of a more unnatural way to eat. Our bodies are adaptive, and so what your body is going to do is say, this is how I think that the world is going to work. This is how I'm going to get energy, and your metabolism is going to adapt. You're going to get used to the dopamine. Those dopamine hits, it's going to take a lot more food to get that dopamine hit. There's a lot of things that are going to happen with your metabolism that will be impacted that are not great. And it can actually lead to obesity, which then can impact your cardiovascular health. The other thing to realize is your pancreas is excreting a ton of insulin to try to counteract what's coming in. And over time, if binging is something that happens a lot and your pancreas has to work and create all that insulin, that can create insulin resistance, which means that your body will have a harder time absorbing nutrients, and that can have a cascading effect on your health, not the least of which can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, a lot of other things happen if we can't absorb nutrients. And last, a lot of what's going to happen in your body is also like hormonal, so there's going to be a lot of fluctuations that are hard for your body, and that is going to have some impacts down the road. Also, inflammation, inflammation is your body's response to a lot of different stressors. It's a way that our bodies are trying to protect us, but it can be very detrimental to your weight. and into a lot of other health outcomes. And just generally, you're going to probably experience quite a bit of digestive discomfort. Potentially could lead to some fat storage, although I do want to say that, like, give yourself grace if you're like, oh, I had a binge episode, I must have gained weight. Like, chances are you didn't actually gain real weight. And if that's the one time it's happened throughout, if it's happening once a week, that's not great, but, there's other things that we can do on the other side. So with that, let me talk about what I want you guys to do if you have binged. And the first thing I want you to do is contact your coach, okay? Because we can help you, not just with the tactical things that you should be doing that day, but also to talk you through what was going on, help you from a mindset perspective get through that and get to the other side of it. And then even, help talk through strategies to prevent it from happening in the future, or even make a recommendation if it's necessary and it's happening often, refer out to somebody that can help you. So talk to your coach. That is the number one thing I would say. Reach out. We love you guys. We are here for you, and we want nothing more than to help you with everything. There's no shame. There's no guilt. We're not about that here. I don't think you'll find one coach on my staff who coaches that way. So there's no guilt and there's no shame. We would rather talk to you than not. Also, give yourself grace. Forgive yourself. There's no guilt, no shame. You need to let it, it happened. You need to know that it is what it is. Forgive yourself and let's move on. Though the sitting in shame is so detrimental. This is a whole, that could be a whole nother talk about shame and guilt and what that can do for, what kind of negative things that can do in your life. I don't know if you guys know, sorry, this is a tangent. I will come right back, I promise. But if you guys haven't listened to any of Brene Brown's work, I highly recommend you do. It's incredible. And she does a lot of talking about shame and what it does to, what kind of outcomes that has on you for your relationships, for your work, for your weight, for all facets of your physical health, like all facets of your life. So, but no shame, no guilt, give yourself grace. Okay, so then what can we actually tactically do? So you contacted your coach, you're giving yourself grace and you're forgiving yourself, not holding, no shame here. I want you guys to walk. I want you to go for a really nice walk, get out in nature. You can, if you want to do something that has a little bit more intensity to it, that's great. But the point of this is not to burn off excess calories. So please don't try to estimate how much you ate and think you're gonna outwork it, because what will end up happening is you're going to peak your hunger hormones, and right now your hunger and satiety cues are going to be kind of out of whack. So we want to try to get your hunger and satiety cues back to a normal place, and we want to help your body. You want to give your body everything it can to help process all those additional calories, all that food that's in you. So going for a walk or some movement is really helpful because it brings oxygen into your digestive tract, and that helps your body process the food that's in there. Speaking of food in your system, I don't want you to not eat on this day. In fact, I'd like you to get up and have a little bit of breakfast. Doesn't have to be anything big if you're not hungry. There's a strong possibility you won't be hungry because you have a lot of excess calories in you, or could be the opposite effect. Sometimes you get a lot more hungry because the binge caused an insulin spike and a dip. So it could be either, but in either case, I'd like you to have a breakfast of protein and fiber. I need you to have some of that. It doesn't have to be big. Again, kind of listen to your body. Also, if you guys are asking questions, I apologize. I cannot see any questions on here, so I will answer them afterwards. But please ask me anything if you have any questions. And then for the rest of the day, I want you to be eating, but I want you to try to get as close to eating well as, yes, eat well. I don't want to say eat clean, but I want you to be like, if you're a Just Lean In client, I want you to get on your plan. And I want you to be eating satiating, nourishing foods to help your body get back on track. And again, if you're a Just Lean In client, we are we are really focused on feeding your body the types of foods that regulate your hunger and satiety. So if you are on our plan, get on the plan for the day. And some of the days are better for hunger and satiety than others. We go through phases of the week. If you're not familiar with our program, phases throughout the week. So talk to your coach, because depending on what your binge was like, you may want to do phase 1 even if we're on phase 4, for example. But that's something you can arrange for with your coach. So I want you to think about that. But protein, veggies, get your good stuff in. You don't have to eat a ton if you're not hungry, but I want you eating throughout the day. Again, really try to listen to your body as much as you can, and lean into your coach as much as you need to. I do not want you to weigh yourself, okay? Do not step on that scale. It will trigger you like hell. And the thing about weighing yourself is it's like, you've actually got food in you. Like, you actually have physical mass in you, probably still from that binge. You know that's in you. That doesn't mean it turned into fat. It doesn't mean you gained weight. It means like there's actual mass in your body currently. So stepping on the scale is probably going to trigger you, and that could trigger you to say, F it and go eat more food, right? Like this, it's not a good thing. There's no need for it. And even as somebody who I watch data as a coach, I want you to be weighing yourself once a week if we are on a weight loss program with us. Like there's no need. It's not useful data. The other thing is, it's not even that there's just mass in you, but because you probably had a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of salt, your body is definitely going to be holding on to water. So not only do you have physical mass of that food still in you as your body still tries to work through and process and digest it, but you also have additional water in your body. So that weight on that scale is going to mean absolutely nothing except tell you that you did what you did yesterday. Okay, so there's no need. It's not helpful. So I also want you to stay very hydrated. I want you to drink more water than you probably think you need. You need to be drinking consistently throughout the day for a variety of reasons. So even if you kind of don't feel like it, I would really encourage you to really focus on getting your water in. And if you're not sure about that, again, reach out to your coach. And then finally, I really think it's important to remove binge triggers. I know that, like, I've seen dietitians, I've seen some registered dietitians and some other nutrition professionals have differing opinions on this, but I just don't think it's, if you're prone to binging, having something that you can binge on that is a trigger is just doesn't make any sense. And it's really just a practical thing, right? If you don't have something you can binge on in your house, you're not going to binge. And it gives you just one less decision point. Your mind can only make so many decisions in a day. Now you can train this, but there's a lot of research around like your mind's ability to continue to make decisions. And if you're at the end of a day, if you're in a position to binge and the food is there, it is more likely to happen than if you have to go seeking it, right? So also, just generally speaking, if it's not there, you're probably not going to be thinking about it as much. But if there's something that's a trigger for you and it's sitting right there, it's going to be like calling your name. And I know this used to be me. My downfall is like sugar cookies or anything frosted. I shouldn't say sugar, all cookies and frosting, things of that nature. And like, I'm telling you, like my mother-in-law would bring over these, she's so good at cooking and baking, and she'll bring over like a whole plate of them, and I could crush the whole plate in one sitting. So I try not to keep anything like that in the house because I know that that is a binge trigger for me, and I just don't have the desire to do that. So I also will say that there's a lot you can do over time to help yourself overcome that, because I do actually keep some of the things that were traditionally binge triggers for me in the house, and I don't have that tendency anymore, but I've worked on it quite a bit. I've worked on it deeply in a lot of different ways, and again, this is not our specialty here, so I would want you to work with somebody who it is their specialty, but I want you to know that there is hope. It's not something that you have to live with forever, but these are temporary, and these are things that you can do if you're going through it, and think, just a very tactical thing that you could do. And by the way, if your kids, if it's like, oh, I have to keep candy in the house for kids, you are just a little tough love here. Like, you're in control of what goes into that pantry. You're the parent. You don't have to keep that stuff in there for them. I mean, unless they're like, no, I can't. I was going to say unless they throw like serious tantrums, but then that's a whole different can of worms. So I would really just say get rid of all that if it's really causing you to binge, if it's a binge trigger. So hopefully this is helpful. Those are my tips. Please don't try to out-exercise it, because you're going to end up in a vicious cycle of hunger and satiety. So we're really just trying to help your body process the food, get your mind into a good spot, get your body back to kind of equilibrium, nourished, and get your hunger and satiety cues back into a good place, get your hormones back into a good place. And really this is what you want to do. All of these things, and get some rest, make sure you're getting enough sleep. So if this was helpful, let me know. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. I'm going to be going back into the comment section like I did with my last live and answering any questions. For some reason, they don't pop up on my screen, so I'm not ignoring you guys, I promise. And I will make sure I get to them after this. Hope you all have a great night, and I will talk to you guys in another live very soon.